Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you? Oh, yes. Okay, good. All right, awesome. All right, welcome. Let's move this over here. Okay. Let me share my screen. This here. Okay. Oh, interesting. Why is this not showing? Okay, there we go. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Bring up the chat. You might not be able to hear. Yeah, I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you? But you can hear. Okay, you can hear me, but I can't hear you. Not sure why I can't hear you. Okay, try again.
Testing. Hello?
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 Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Okay, now I can hear you. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. Just put this here. All right. Welcome, everyone. Let's take a look at the syllabus, see where we are. Okay. All right, so let's see. We are getting started on week number 6, where we're going to be introducing React.js. Yay! Very exciting. Although we've seen a little bit like a sneak preview of somewhat what it's going to look like when we started using functions, using jQuery and plain old JavaScript. I was deliberately trying to follow a style that is very, very similar to the React.js style that we're going to be using throughout the semester. You know, the fact that you can break up large web applications into smaller components that can then be combined to make more sophisticated ones. That's that's what React.js is all about, and it makes use of all the new ES6 features, right, to make component-based development. So we'll introduce React.js, which is more of following what we've been doing with JavaScript, but the syntax is going to be much simpler, right? And we're only going to do it today, but we're definitely going to go further. Throughout the entire semester, we're going to be using React.js for the next, I don't know, 6-7 weeks. And we'll introduce more and more of the library as we go forward, with more and more advanced features as we go. But we'll introduce it today and onwards. Then we'll have at the end of this week, we'll have our third quiz, which will include JavaScript and everything before, but mostly focusing on JavaScript, JSON, functions, ES6, things like that, mapping, find, filter, all those JavaScript functions. So that's later this week. Next week we are going to have the exam a week from Thursday. Is going to be our first exam. This exam is going to be very much like what we're seeing in the quizzes. Same thing, right? Lots of multiple choice questions, a lot of fill in the blanks, and it'll be just like a very long quiz. Okay. So that's a week from Thursday, and we're on a week from today. We're going to do a lot of we're going to review past quizzes or past exams. Maybe half of the class will take a look at that. Any questions you might have, and the exam is going to be heavily based on what we're going to be covering that day on a week from now. We're also going to be doing some more React.js all these weeks, following next week as well. Yeah, excellent. When we come back from the exam, we'll do some Redux and state management, and we'll start talking more and more every week about the projects, the final project, as you should be getting to, going on that. Will we have to write code in our own IDE and submit? No, the exams are only ever on Canvas, right? It'll be very much like what we've been doing so far, right? So no, you don't have to write code on the IDE. It is open book, so if you want to have your IDE to try something out real quick, that's fine. Let's see, what else? When will our midterm start? So yeah, so it'll start. That is exam one. Exam one is the midterm. So it'll start at the beginning of the class. It'll be the whole lecture. So it'll be, I don't know, like an hour and a half exam. All right, any questions before we get started? There's only one exam, and I believe no. There's a exam two at the very last lecture. We'll have the exam number 2, and it is time limited. Yes, it's an hour and a half. Okay.
Hi, Professor. Is it possible for you to like for poll on Piazza? You were discussing last week regarding the particular day for midterm exam.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I could do that. Although I think I polled already a couple of times, and it seems like most folks had decided on Thursday, I believe, but I can poll again. I was pretty sure I polled a couple of times, and Thursday was always coming up as the better time where everybody was. But sure, I know there's a couple of you that can't make it on Thursday, so we'll definitely deal with those folks either the next day or during TA hours, or with me schedule during my office hours, and we can take the exam together. So please reach out to me, and then we can figure that out. How many questions? I don't know, maybe 30, 40 questions. Is the exam mostly focused on JavaScript and React? No, the exam will be all questions up to this point, but it will include React.js, but it'll have some JavaScript, it'll have some HTML, some CSS, and everything in between. Make sure you know your acronyms, right? What does DOM stand for? What does JSON stand for? What does HTML stand for? Okay, make sure what CSS stand for. Make sure you know your acronyms. Question, hi Professor, I'm wondering, can we also have an extension for A5? I have to focus on several interviews. Let's check that offline. All right, so let's get started. Let's see. Okay. All right, so React.js. All right, so I'll start with first, what is React.js? If you look up React.js, a very good place to get started is in the documentation of React.js. Okay, it's a library, or well, now it's a set of libraries that are plain old JavaScript libraries, right? That are meant to make it easy on us to build single page applications. And what we mean by single page applications is a modern way of building applications that render dynamically onto the website using JavaScript, and usually they do it in a single page, meaning they load up an HTML document, and they use functions or JavaScript, whatnot, to dynamically pump content onto the DOM dynamically, right? And they never actually leave that HTML document, right? Um, so if any new content needs to be rendered, they either replace the DOM content that is currently there, or they might swap out content, right? Because one of the questions might be, well, if we never actually leave that HTML document, how do we navigate, right? How do you go from the home page to the Explore page to the other pages, right? Well, what they do is that, each one of those screens are themselves components, right? And so we create a set of URLs that will trigger the swapping of one component versus another, right? So it'll dynamically remove the HTML DOM using JavaScript, and it will replace it with another DOM dynamically, right, using JavaScript, giving you the illusion of navigating from one place to the next, right, when you're really just staying in that one HTML document. Right. Now, this is the modern way of building dynamic applications, and most websites that you go today, modern websites that you go today, are using this technique, right? If you go to Facebook or Twitter, most of all Google's applications, such as Gmail, Google Maps, all these applications use a single page application techniques. Okay, I think the first time that I became aware of single page applications is when I first used Google Maps. Before Google Maps, I used to use another service called MapQuest. Okay, and they both do the same thing, right? You can search for a location, right, and it renders a map of the location and gives you directions to how to get there. So before there was Google Maps, MapQuest was very popular. And now, and the way that MapQuest worked is that, if you wanted to, render the map, and if you wanted to maybe scroll to the right or scroll to the left, up, down, right, it had buttons on each side, right, north, south, east, west, right, so that if you wanted to go north, you would click on the north button, and what it would do is that it would reload the entire page, right, with a new map, and the map was slightly moved down so that it's showing that you were moving up, right? And again, if you want to move up again, right, it would again re-render the entire page showing you that map. And that's how everything was done. Basically, when you wanted to update the page with any new content, you had to throw away the old page and recreate the page brand new. And so when I first used Google Maps, their implementation was radically different, right? Now, one of the things that they introduced is the fact that you could grab or directly manipulate the map, right? And you could jiggle around, and the map would move and animate with the mouse, right? And one of the coolest things is that you could now you could pan left, right, or pan up, down, right? And without the jarring re-rendering of the entire page, right? And the way they achieved that, it was not only was it cool the fact that it was animating and following the mouse around, but the fact is that you can scroll for miles, right? And the content was continuing, right? And the way they were doing that is that they would dynamically behind the scenes fetch more content to fill in those gaps, right, as you move the map. Okay, so that was that, and obviously the experience is entirely different, right? How you use one or the other, and it just blew my mind, right? And definitely Google Maps has gone, to be definitely the choice for map manipulation. And like this, they did the same thing, right? If you go to use Gmail, if you use Sheets or Google Docs, right? Those are all single page applications that they navigate between multiple places, right? The Google Map, the Docs list all the documentation, right? All the documents, right? If you click on them, it'll show the content. All that is within the same HTML document, and we never move away from it. Okay, we never navigate away. Instead, we swap content dynamically. So anyway, so that's what we're going to be doing for the remainder of the semester. We're going to be using React.js as a library that allows us to do this. Okay. So I do have a couple of slides here that I like to go over them real quick. So intro to React.js. So we've already created our first React.js application, right? We created it at the beginning of the semester using the npx command and the create React app command, right? And then you can specify the name of the application. I think we called it webdev, right? And what this tool does is that it creates a boilerplate, right? The beginning of, or the absolute minimum set of files and JavaScript that allows you to, start a React.js project. Okay. And so once you do that, you can just go into that directory that the application creates, and then you can just do an npm start. We haven't used npm start. These commands, npx, npm, they are all part of the Node.js infrastructure, right? That we install early on in the semester. I think that was the first assignment, right? You download it, install Node.js on your machine, and npx was part of that installation, and which ran this command, right? And you can go look up npm. If you go to npmjs.com, there's a list of all the modules and Node.js open source projects, right, that you can download and run on your machine and install libraries and whatnot. And you can look it up. For instance, create React app. You can look it up, the package, right, and it has its own saying who the author is. Facebook is the author of React.js. How many people are using it weekly and whatnot, right? How to get started. And you can install it either using npm or npx. Okay. So anyway, and then once you go in there, you can start the server by running npm start. Npm start is a script inside of the node package that it creates, right? And it starts up a little server that hosts your React application. Now, we have not been using this all through. So even though we have been working inside of a React project, we haven't been using any of the React features and the Node.js features. We have been running the index.html documents, right? The bare bones HTML documents standalone, right? We are going to abandon that in favor of using the React.js project that we created at the beginning of the semester. We're going to port some of the work that we've been doing on the public directory, right? All those, assignment 1, assignment 2, assignment 3. We're going to port some of that, over to the React side, right? And recreate some of that. We'll see some of the differences on how is that we used to do things, right? And how is it different now that we're using React.js? You'll see the contrast of doing that, right? But then once we move over that to our React project, right, we're going to have to run it, and the way we run it is using npm start. Now, a lot of the syntax that we're going to be using is going to be somewhat advanced features, advanced syntax that is not yet supported by all browsers, right? So for instance, one of the things that you'll see us do quite often is use these expressions that mix and match JavaScript, right? So this is JavaScript. This is plain old JavaScript. We've been doing this for a week or so, right? And this document.get we've done that before. We know what that is, right? But notice how we are mixing and matching HTML mixed and matched with JavaScript, right? Almost there's no barrier between the two, right? It's one flows right into the other, right? And so some of the syntax which is supported by React.js, this syntax in particular is called JSX. JSX means JavaScript XML, right? Which is a marriage between two different syntax, right? The JavaScript syntax and a marriage of XML syntax, which HTML is just a flavor of XML, right? HTML is XML, right? And so this seamless integration between these two syntax, right, is not supported by a browser. If a browser tries to read this, a browser will say, "What the heck is that?" Right? I mean, I understand this import. I understand that this is a function call, right? I understand document and parentheses and semicolons. I don't understand this HTML embedded in JavaScript, right? So all this code, which is going to live in plain old JavaScript, right? That needs to be converted into a version of JavaScript that is not as advanced, right? Because browsers can't understand the syntax, okay? So it's going to be converted, or we would say compiled, but it's not compiled as in converted into binary format. It's going to be transpiled. It's going to be transpiled, converted into a lower level JavaScript that that any browser would understand, right? So it lowers it to the minimum common denominator, so that right browsers that don't understand the syntax can actually run this. Okay, but other than that, right, it's going to look very, very similar to what we did last week, right, with functions and returning HTML. It's not going to have any of the string manipulation that we did last in our last lecture, right, where we did a lot of embedded templates and joins, right, and dollar signs, right? None of that. A lot of that is going to go away because we're not going to be working with strings anymore, string concatenation. Instead, we're going to be using this advanced syntax. So anyway, so here's an example of our React world, hello world, the simplest React applications. Let me demonstrate that with the application we've been working throughout the week. Let's see. Let's see. Let me close that. Okay. Probably this one. Maybe. Let's see. I believe this might be it. Let's see. Hello. Close. Okay, public. Source. Oh, wait, did I move this already? No. Okay, there we are. Actually, no, I don't think this was the one I wanted to show you. Open. This is it. Let's see. That doesn't look like. Where's the one we were? Oh, did I merge them? Oh, I merged them. I did, didn't I? I merged them, yeah. Okay. All right. So what we've been having in the for the last couple of weeks, right? We've been having in our index.html. Let me close everything else, close all other tabs. We've been having this here under public. We've had index.html here, and we've had this basically, right? Let me comment that out, where we have index. If we run that, oh, why are you not running? Edit. You have index, practice, jQuery. And let me run public index. There we go. Run it. There we go. Where we have multiple assignments, right? Assignment 2. Oh, maybe not. 3. Oh. To-dos. There's our to-dos. We have the explore screen. So this is what we've been working on for the last couple of weeks, right? And this is what you've been submitting. Everything inside of the public directory under the index, and then each assignment in its own directory, right? This is where we've been for the last couple of weeks. Okay. So what we're going to do now, right, is we're going to leave this as it is, right? You might have links to your previous assignments, and please do provide links to the previous assignments so the TA can navigate to the assignments. What we're going to do is that we're going to add this right here. Okay. This is what used to be what our application used to be, right? It used to have a div with a ID equal root. All right, and that's what was created, at the beginning of the semester, right? And that div, right, that has an ID equal root, that's where our React application is going to inject all our content, right? It's going to dynamically draw into this div, right? We're not going to manually put anything into that div, right? We're only going to do it dynamically using JavaScript, right? Using the React.js library, right? And the way we do that is by looking at the source here under the source directory. This is the entry point where our React.js application lives, right? And the entry point is this index file right here, index. See that? Okay, and let's look at it real quick. It's very easy, right? All our code that we're going to, from now on, all our JavaScript code needs to be prefaced always by importing the React library first. Okay, that's where all the magic happens, right? So that's the first thing that you're going to load, right? Now in this entry point of the React application, right, we're also going to load another library, which is another React library, right? It's called the React DOM library, right? Meaning this is the glue that makes the magic happen. It's going to take all the components that we're going to be building using React.js, and it's going to pump all that content into the empty div, right? And the way it does that is that, whatever the React DOM declares a function, the function called render, right, to render. And what it does, it takes two arguments, right? The first argument is what it is that you want to render, right? What do you want to draw on the div? And then it tells you, where do you want me to draw that, right? And this root, right, is indeed that index right there. See that, this div here? Yeah, see that div with the root? Well, that's exactly where we're telling it to draw it. Draw it into an element whose ID is root. So it's that div. So it's going to draw whatever this is. It's going to draw it into the root. Make sense? So let me show you what we might want to draw in there, right? We could draw a hello world. I can say, let me comment that out. Let me just remove it. We say h1, right, and say hello world, comma. So notice that this first content, right, looks like HTML, and indeed it is HTML, right? But the fact that we can seamlessly mix and match HTML and JavaScript, is a signature feature of React.js. Okay, and that it allows you to mix and match both of them seamlessly, and so that you can embed logic, you can embed all sorts of programmatic features, right, into dynamically rendering the content. So let's run this, right? And we can run it from the command line using the npm start. So it says npm start. There it is. npm start. Notice the hello world. Okay, notice the hello world is what we drew here. And if you put this on the here, if you put both of them side by side, whatever modifications I make here, the changes will be live. So if I say 1, 2, 3 and I save, right, it will recompile, maybe. Hello. Okay. I'm not sure why it's not recompiling. Automatic. Normally, we don't automatically reload. So basically, the content is being dynamically transpiled into a version of JavaScript that it understands, and then it's being injected into that div. Now, what's underneath here? What's underneath is everything that's outside underneath the div, right? All this H1 here, H2. If I comment that out, right, notice that indeed it is now no longer rendered, right? This is only there. I'm only going to put it there as a link to the remainder of the content that we've been working for the last couple of weeks, right? So that TAs can access older stuff, right? So I'm going to put it back in there. There it is, right? I'll make it smaller. Oops. There it is. Okay. Yeah, excellent. So we have this hello world. And yeah, it looks very much like just a plain old HTML. All right, the next big signature feature of React.js is that it encourages you to break up your application into multiple pieces, right? Very much like we've been doing for the last week or so using JavaScript, right? We broke it up into multiple functions, and then each little function calculated a small piece of the page, right? And then we use that to build, sophisticated user interface, right? And this is the equivalent. This is the equivalent to what we did in here. No, this is the equivalent of what we did in here. If you remember, right, in the Explore screen, we had this index page, right, in the, not this one, right? In the Explorer here, right, is the equivalent of doing this. First declaring a div where we're going to inject our content, yes? And then a JavaScript code that grabs that ID and injects content in there, right? We used another technology. We use jQuery, right? In Explore screen, right? What we did is that we took this content that, notice it's a string. See that? Because we have the opening and closing string delimiter, right? And we are sending this entire string and appending it into the content of that div, right, with that ID, right? Which is basically the same mechanism that React is doing it, but with a different syntax and a different library, right? If we go to the index, basically this is what it's doing, right? It's taking content, yes, and it's injecting it into that div with a root directory. Make sense, right? And I deliberately did this, right, so that what we practiced last week is conceptually, right, portable into what React.js is doing, right? So anyway, so just like we talked about last week, being able to break up content, right? So for instance, this entire website, right, is a combination of a navigation sidebar, a render on the left-hand side, and the who to follow list render on the right-hand side, and the explore component render in the middle, right? We did that last week, and this is it. It's render right there. right? It's this one, left, center, and right, right? It's this over here, right? Notice that we broke it up into smaller functions, right? And then each function generated its own HTML string, right? Which was all concatenated here, right? Well, we're going to follow that same strategy, right, of breaking it up into multiple functions, right, and bring it and bringing it together. Okay, so we're going to keep doing that same strategy. So for instance, we might want to break this up, right, and if this were a complex page, we might want to break it up into a separate component, right? So for instance, we might say, grab this, grab that, okay, and in a separate source directory, we could create a new file and call it, maybe hello, all right, and in there, create a function. All right, remember, every single React.js component needs to at first, right, bring in the React library, and then you can just create your own functions, right? Const, hello world, and it's going to return. Now, in the old way we did it, we used strings, right? And we would put here the string we want to return, but not anymore, right? We're not going to do that. We're going to use the JSX syntax, right? That allows us to mix and match JavaScript and HTML seamlessly, and we can just paste in here the HTML that we want to return, right? Pretty cool being able to mix and match. Now this is a little bit too hard to read, so we're going to split it up into multiple lines like that, right? And then we're going to export this like that, right? Then we can go back here and import. You can say hello world. There it is. It's telling you which one. It's that one, right? Yep, there it is. Oops, that's not the one I want. Wait, where's this one? Okay, no, like that, right? Like that. And notice that I basically created my own tag, right? My own HTML tag, right? It's the same name as the function, right? And a slash at the end, right? If it doesn't have a body, none of these are going to have any bodies, right? So now we can go back, and the hello world is still hello world, just like before. And oops, and we can go in there and modify it. All right, so this could be something else. Let's save that. And there it is. See that? So I can change the content, right? And it re-renders over here, right? So again, we can still apply the same strategy that we applied in the previous lecture, right? Where we can break it up into multiple functions and recreate. But now we have the simplicity of not having to deal with strings, right? And using this more advanced JSX syntax. Everybody good? Okay. Yeah. So let's build something really simple. All right. One of the things that typically we're going to do is that the application that we would build, right, in general, or we call, or we give it a name, and just like in if you're using Java or C# or one of these languages, there's a specific function that we use. The name function, we either use init or we use main, and as the name of that we know is the entry point of the application, right? So it's common practice, right, that to call the initial entry point or the top level root component, to call it app, right, for application, right? And indeed, I have here an app, right, that is implemented in a separate file, right? And it's implemented right here. There it is, app.js. Okay. Oops. Now I already have some stuff in there, so I'm gonna leave it alone. I don't want to break it. All right, so I'm gonna leave that alone for now. We'll talk about it in a minute. But let's create a little application. Again, the typical name for it would be app. Right now, I'm gonna call it something else. And so, for instance, I like to create maybe like a to-do list or something like that, right? That allows me to maybe list things to do, or that I can manipulate and add content. So let's take a look at that. So let's create a a component that deals with to-dos, right? Now, it's also a good practice to when you're building components, right, to create them in a directory that clearly, right, labels them as these are components. These are UI components that are meant to be combined to create the user interface, right? And this is so that we can distinguish them from other code that are not components, right? That are not user interface components, right? Like, for instance, later on next week, we'll talk about state, right? Application state, right? Using Redux or creating and so there's going to be other JavaScript files that are not going to be rendering anything on the screen, right? So they're not going to be components, right? They're going to be maintaining state. So we'll put those in a different directory, right? So anything we drop in the components directory is going to be UI components. Okay. All right. So let's do that. Let's we typically create a directory called components, and in there we put all our components. So let's create a to do component. All right. So we'll call it to do. Right. It's just a JavaScript file. And for now, right, we'll create a really simple thing. We'll just say, again, first thing, we import the React library, and we start to typically we declare it as a function, right? So we can say, const to do, right? And we can just say return, and we can say h1 to do. Okay, and we're going to export that. All right. Okay. So let's go back to our index, and we're going to replace this hello world with to do. There we go. Okay. And if we refresh, there's our to do right there. Everybody good? All right. Let's keep going. So if we go to our to do, right? Typically the to do will have a list of things for us to do. Yes. So maybe the way we would do it, implement it, is maybe as an array, as a list of things, right? So for instance, you might say UL, right, and have LI. Right. Notice that my IDE is complaining about something, right? And what it's complaining about is that the return can only return one thing. It can only return one element. So you might say, wait a minute. Do I have to return only the H1, only the UL? I mean, I want to be able to combine them. And the way you combine it is that you need to wrap it in another parent element, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to declare a div, right? And now we can do this, right? There we go. All right. So in the LI, we might have I need to buy the milk, right? And save that. Okay, notice the list is being rendered here. Okay, I have a whole bunch of things to do. I have to buy the milk. I have to pick up the kids, and I need to walk the dogs, and I have to make dinner. Okay, there they are. So it's a list. Everybody good? All right, awesome. The other thing that we might want to do here, right, is that we would like to, instead of having hard coded in here like that, right, is that we might want this to be an array of things that I want to render, as opposed to being this like this, right? So for instance, I could declare maybe a local array, right? It says that it's cons to dos, and it'd be an array here, right? Where you might have multiple JSON objects, right, that contain the data that you want to render, right? And so this might have a a title that is has all this data. Let me just copy this. Let's see if I can. This would be title. Yeah, I know there's a really nifty feature in the IDE that will allow you to edit all this in one single stroke, but I don't know that. Comma like that. Copy like that. So this just has data. Okay. All right. So it just has data, right? This has an array of objects, that I can then, instead of having like this, I can iterate over this, right? So let's so for instance, I might do something like this. I might embed, right? Notice that I was in JavaScript. Now I'm in HTML, and then I can go back into JavaScript, right? Opening curly brackets. Now these curly brackets look very similar to what we did in the previous lecture, right? Where we put a $sign here, right? And this would be an embedded string, but this is not a string, right? It's an embedded JavaScript expression, right? It's not an embedded string, so no $sign here like we did last lecture, right? So here is I'm going to iterate over this array of to-dos, and as I iterate, I'm going to render these LIs, right? So for instance, I might say to-dos, right? Map, and as I iterate, I get I can call a function, right? So map takes as argument a function, and what it'll do is that for every item in the array, it will invoke this function, right? And what it'll do is that it'll take the first element in the array and will pass it to the function. It'll take the second element of the array and it'll pass it to the function. Okay. So for instance, each object is a to-do, right? There it is. So it'll pass this first, then this one, and so on and so forth, right? Also notice this comma at the end like that. It's common to leave that comma at the end, even though notice there's no item after the last one. It's a common thing to do is to put a comma even though it's in the last element, right? What that allows you to do is to easily just add another one without having to go and add the extra comma, right? So make dinner, go to sleep. Okay. So yeah, so yes, grabbing each one of those to-dos, it's passing it to the function, and whatever you return from this function is going to be collated into a new array, right? Into a new array. So what do we want to return? We want to return an LI, just like this one, right? Return an LI right like that. But what's inside now, it's going to be the title of the to-do, right? So it'll be, again, we're going to embed. So notice how we are going from JavaScript back into HTML seamlessly, and then back into JavaScript, right, with curly brackets, right? So this would be to do dot title. See that? Yeah, excellent, right? And this ends like that. Oh no, wait, just like that. Also notice that we don't have to do the join like we did in the previous assignment, right? Because again, in the previous assignment, we were manipulating strings, right? We were concatenating strings, converting everything to a string. Not here, right? Here we are working with higher level objects. Okay. So yeah, excellent. So notice that indeed we now have 5 elements that are dynamically added, right? And the other ones were being added like that, right? They're static. They're in there statically. Okay. And so, well, what about let's apply now. The fact that you're passing this, having this data instantiated here, right? Being declared here in this component, that's usually considered be bad practice, right? A better solution would be to declare this in a separate file, like a dedicated data file, right? So let's do that. Oops. Right. Let me open this up. So for instance, right, I could create a new JSON file, and I'll call it todos.todos.json, right? And I'm going to copy that content. I'm going to copy the data, only the data. Right? Unlike what we did last lecture, right? We had a JavaScript file declare a variable that was exported, and then we imported it here, right? Here, slightly different, right? We're just going to put the data in there, right? It's not going to be a variable, right? It's just going to be data, right? So we're going to paste it in here. Now it's complaining that the syntax is not quite right, right? And notice that over here it's not complaining. And that's fine, because in JavaScript is very forgiving on when it's working with objects like this, right? In reality, the proper syntax for JSON objects is that these properties need to be quoted, double quoted, right? And also the values of each one of the properties also needs to be double quoted, right? So it's complaining that yeah, you're calling a JSON file, right? But it is not formatted properly as JSON, right? It's complaining that this is not quoted, right? So let's see what the IDE tells me. So yeah, wrap with double quotes. See that? And I'm going to say do it for the entire edit, fix all. There it is. So it fixed everything. It added it. Also, notice that the last comma here, right? Because this is a data file, it doesn't like that extra comma because that's not syntactically correct. It was fine here in JavaScript, right? And we would encourage you to put the comma here in JavaScript, but not in JSON formatted files. Okay. Anyway, so we have that. So now what we could do is we can load the to-dos here. We can say const to-dos. Sorry, import to-dos from no to-dos. Oh, from. There we go. To-dos.json. Module to-dos. Wait, did I call it correct? To do. I misspelled it. Refactor, rename, to-dos. There we go. All right, so we don't really need this anymore, so we can remove it. And this still renders fine. This still renders okay. Everybody good? All right. Okay, but even this is a bad practice. Okay, we are declaring the dependency of this data right inside of the file. Right. A better practice is to pass any dependency, right, through a function call, right, as a parameter, right? That declares a dependency so that with the parent can then pass in data and have the to-dos behave one way or another, right? As opposed to the to-dos declaring the data itself, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to move this away from here and we're going to pass it here as an argument, right? So who's a parent? In this case, the index is the parent. So let's load it here. And it's inside of components. There we go. And then we're going to pass the to-dos as an argument, right? And the way we pass arguments, now notice that this is not I mean, it's implemented as a function, right? But you can no longer use it as a function using this old syntax. That doesn't work, right? So since now the function has become an attribute, since the function has become a tag, well, we know how to configure tags, right? we can pass arguments to a tag by using the attributes, right? So we can say to-dos as an attribute, and then pass a reference to a variable that we've loaded or we've declared in it somewhere, right? And we can pass it down here. I can say, I'm going to pass my to-dos. There it is. So I'm passing a reference to it. So here, instead of loading it myself, I'm gonna receive it here as an argument. Okay, as an argument. Now, the way the arguments are passed in tags, right, into their equivalent functions is not as a single variable, right? Instead, they're passed as a map, right? So if you have multiple attributes here, right, where you have name value, name value, name value, so attribute value, right? It's passed here as a map, right? And each element in that map can be extracted as one big object from the map, right? And the way you do that is to use the deconstructor syntax, right? The deconstructor syntax says, okay, you're passing me an object, right, that has several properties, of which one of them is a to-dos, right? One of the properties is to-dos, right? I'm going to extract it from this map, from this object that you're passing me, and there it is, right? To-dos. And there it is. Now we're back in business. Now it's working again, right? So no, we're not declaring ourselves as being passed to us as an argument. Okay. Another good practice is that once you declare these functions, these arguments, right, to always provide a default value for your parameter list, right? So for instance, this to-dos doesn't have a default value. We can provide a default value as follows. Okay, we can say equal, and we can provide a default set of to-dos, just in case somebody doesn't pass us anything, right? If somebody doesn't pass us anything, I'll default to this value, right? So I'm just going to copy. I'm just going to make a dummy array here. So this to-dos is going to have a default value of, title, right? And it would be just made to do one. And this is great for testing, right? So let's create several to-dos, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, notice that it's not doing anything. It's not rendering anything, right? It's not changing anything. But if somebody forgot to pass you anything, right? If nobody passed you an attribute, notice that it'll pick up the default set of to-dos, right? From the local array, right? It'll take the default. If somebody does pass you something, then it'll pick up whatever you're being passed as an argument. That makes sense? Okay. All right. All right. Okay, so let's see what else. So we have this li, right? And this li, I mean, a better way to implement this, right, is to perhaps, well, I guess it depends a little bit how granular you want to get, right? If this li would be something fairly complex, right? Say you you say that LIs are going to have maybe maybe a checkbox, right? Input type checkbox, right? Because I want to put a checkbox right next to it. Maybe it wants to display some status information, complete it, right? Maybe wants to put a drop down, right? Select so you can change the status. Done. You want to change the status, right? Done. In progress. Canceled. Okay, so say I mean, say the LI, each line item was, fairly complex, right? And it had its own logic, right? Maybe it has a button at the end so you could delete it. Say delete. Okay, so now the item is not just an LI, it's got, all sorts of, really cool stuff, right? And it's fairly complex. So the way you would approach this in using React is as, oh, I'm not going to copy this whole thing all over, right? I mean, I would have to do that for each one of these, right? Right, I would have to copy this multiple times. So instead, right, what I would do is that I would create a component out of this, right? Right, there it is. See that? So whenever you see yourself copying and pasting like this, you say, hey, wait a minute, this is a good candidate to bring it over to the as a brand new component, right? So let's do that. So say new, and we'll have a component. We'll call it to do item. Okay, like all components are going to have a React.js, and then the function, right? Const to do item is going to return. What is it going to return? It's going to return. Oops. To do item. Return one of these, right? So I'm just going to copy this li. I'm going to return it right there. I'm going to paste it right there. Okay, makes sense. So now I have a reusable component, of which the only thing that is changing is this here, right? They're all basically the same, right? The select, the drop down, whatever, right? Whereas this could be, the title of a to-do, and this would be maybe the status of the to-do, right? It would be an argument. And again, as arguments, right? We're not going to use a single a list of parameters. Instead, we're going to use a deconstructor syntax, right? So instead of if you want to pass in a reference to a to-do, right? We're always going to use the syntax of the deconstructor, right? Putting it in curly brackets, right? Because whenever we're going to pass something, it'll be maybe an attribute of a tag, which is going to create a map of multiple objects, variables that are going to be passed in, right? So once we have that, we can say, to do this would be, it would be an expression to do that title, right? And this would be maybe something like a to do and then status. Okay. So now that we have that, we can now replace these. We can replace this whole thing. We can replace this whole thing by, I'm going to copy that. Replace that with a to-do item, right? Where the to-do has the title. So I'm passing an object. So the outer curly brackets means that this is going to be an expression, and the expression is an object I'm passing it. Right? I'm passing a to-do object, and I know the to-do object has a title, which is buy the milk, and a status, right, of completed. Okay. So if I refresh, notice that indeed now it's rendered. See that? Right, if I change this by the milk, notice that it does change. So whatever I pass as argument. Okay, I'm passing that in, and I can do the same thing here, right? I can. This will be, again, I'm going to paste it again. I can do several of these, right? So I have a whole bunch of these. One of them is going to be pick up the kids. So it's going to be pick up the kids. So I can remove this. Walk the dogs and make dinner. Oops. And that's what we get here. Yes, everybody good? Yep. So we could do the same thing here, right? This li that we had here in the return, this could also be a to-do item, right? So I can grab the to-do item, right, and just paste it in here. And then notice that if I refresh, it's going to render all the same, right? But that's not what we want. This object, instead of being the hard-coded object, it'll be the to-do object that we're being passed from as in the parameter list, right? To-do. There it is. See that? So buy the milk, pick up the kids, blah, 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 go to sleep, right? Which is coming from the array that is being passed in as a parameter, right? But notice that we have no status. We have no status. And we have no status. And that's because we never filled out the status here, right? So, status in progress, right? And it's in this is in the TBD. And later, right? I'm lazy. And refresh, and notice that content is being updated. That makes sense? Everybody still with me? To do. All right. One more thing is that sometimes, right, the li, so sometimes the so say we had decided to do the following, right? Imagine we had decided, well, no, actually, let me show you. Sometimes, right, if you need to wrap the content, but notice what we did here, the way we wrapped it is with a div. See that? Okay. And sometimes it's okay to use a div, right, to wrap, use that as a parent to all your other content. If you want to add some vertical spacing, especially, div is fine, right? Or maybe you need a span, right? If you don't want to add the vertical spacing, you want to leave it as inline, right? So span would just group everything into one single element. But sometimes, notice that here we're generating li, yes, and li, it has to be a direct child of ul, right? So all these to-do items are generating all these li's, yes. And so if we need to wrap this, it would make no sense to put this a div, right? To put this in a div. I mean, right now I don't need to do that. I don't really need to do that because this li is really fine, right? So if I refresh, so it's rendering fine, right? But let's look at the DOM that it generates. Notice that it's generating ULs. Notice that it's generating UL, div, and the li. So all the divs are the children of the UL. That's not correct. That's not correct syntax. Okay. No, div is not supposed to be the child of the UL. The browser is doing a pretty good job at still rendering it okay. Okay, but it's not proper HTML, right? But you might need to add the div in any case, right? In some cases. So when you want to group things together and you have to wrap something around it, but you do not want to use div or any other element that would break the syntax of the resulting DOM, what you can do is you can use this syntax, right? These are tags that don't have a name, kind of like an anonymous tag, right? It's there so that we can group together all the child elements, but it's not there right? Because we don't want to add anything to the parent, right? So if we re-render this, okay, you'll notice now that the UL, right, properly have just the LI as a child. See that? Right, correctly, right? So basically those tags are there. The empty tags are just so that we can group together content, right? But we don't really want to add anything to the DOM, okay? So it just adds whatever the child is. It's added to the parent, okay? Does this compare to anonymous classes in Java? No, not quite. This is they refer this in React.js as fragments, right? We want to be able to generate all these little fragments, right, without adding additional DOM elements to the parent DOM. Yeah, no, we'll be using anonymous classes and functions a little later. Okay. All right, excellent. So yeah, so we were able to break up the content into multiple pieces. Excellent. Let's see. To do the React. I think that was okay. All right. So one other thing that we'd like to be able to do, right, is that we said that we were no longer going to navigate away, navigate between pages by having a hyperlink that allows you to navigate away into a different HTML document. We'll never do that again, right? We're only, this is the only HTML document we will ever use, right? Index.html, right? All other content will be, a whole bunch of JavaScripts, right, that contain HTML, right, that are going to be embedded in to create larger, more complex user interfaces. But nevertheless, we want to be able to navigate, right, or at least have that functionality of sometimes showing one thing and sometimes showing another thing, right? And so the way we're going to do that, right, is through what we call routing, right? What we're going to do is that our screens, right, our pages, if you want to have multiple pages, you want to navigate between multiple pages, are going to be implemented as plain old React components, right? Plain React components. And what we're going to do is that we're going to use the a mechanism of detecting changes in the URL, so that if the URL says something, we'll show one component. But if the URL says something else, we'll show some other components, right? And we're going to have to be able to swap, right? And so sometimes show one thing and sometimes show another. Right now, right, what we have is that all components would be in one single place. Right? So let me show you. Let's create two components, right? And then we can navigate between the two. Okay. So let's see. We actually do have two components, right? We have the to-do items and we have the hello world, right? So, and if we want to render them both, right? Let's see. Right now we're just rendering to-do, right? But say we want to render both, okay? Right. So how do we do that? How do we do that? So what we would do is that, well, we can't render both, right? Because we have hello world, and here we only have just one thing. Actually, let me, how do I show you this? Okay, what we're going to do is that we're going to create another component where we're going to do the navigation. Right, we're going to do all the navigation, right? So let's do that. Let's create another component here in JavaScript, and we'll call it a navigation example. Right, so navigation example. Okay, and so in here, let's create. It'll be a React component like always, right? Import React, and we'll create a function. So this will be navigation example. And what we'd like to be able to do is be able to navigate between two screens. Right now, the only two screens we have is the hello world example and our to do, right? So let's see how we can navigate between the two. All right. So first, let's render both. I will say return both of them. So we're going to render the hello world, which is right above, I think. Or wait, I thought it was in the same directory. Oh, here it is. Yes, it is there, right there. Yes. Hello, there it is. And we're going to render also our to-do. And we called it to-do, just to-do. Okay. So now let's replace this. Oh, we need the to-dos too, right? We need to pass it the to-dos. Well, actually, we don't need to be. It has a default, right? So let's bring in the navigation example here. Navigation example. And so in our navigation example, if we refresh, we have both things. We have the hello world example and we have the to-do underneath, right? Because that's what the navigation example does. Navigation example returns a collation of both the hello world and the to-do, all in the same screen. Yes? Okay. But what we want to be able to achieve is that, well, these might be two different screens, right? And we would like to be sometimes show one or sometimes show another. Okay, so how do we do that? So to do that, we're going to use a library called React Router DOM. Right. So React Router DOM is a library that is going to allow us to sometimes show one thing, sometimes show another, right? And the way you install it is using this npm install React Router DOM, right? React Router DOM. I already ran this, so I already have it on my installed on my project, right? What npm install does is that it downloads the packages from npm.js, right? npm.js.com, right? And then it copies it locally on your node_modules, right? It copies all the libraries in here. So React Router DOM should be somewhere here. So React Router something. Oh wait, I'm in the E's. React Router. There it is. React Router DOM. Yeah. So I already ran this. So what am I going to do here is I'm going to load a couple things from that library. Right. So first of all, I need to wrap the pages or screens that I want to navigate between. Right. And I do that by loading what is called the browser router. Right. The browser router is going to allow us to declare routes or paths and say that if the URL sees this route or this path, right, it'll render this component. If it sees another route or path, right, it'll render a different component, right? So let's do that. So we're going to import, the browser router. There it is. Notice that I am using the destructor syntax. That is because this all these React and Hello World and To Do are always returning, are always exporting a single thing, right? They're only exporting a To Do, whereas this React Router DOM is not exporting just one thing; it's exporting an entire object, of which in that object there is an object called browser router. So I am extracting that object, right? That inner object outside of that is included inside that bigger object, right? That is being exported by this guy, right? So that's why the curly brackets around it. Anyway, so I can use browser router, right, to be my overall parent to all my screens. Or I could have just gone down, right? I could have done this. I could do that. Either way. Okay. So I'm wrapping all the things that I want to be able to navigate between, right? If I have 3, 4, 5 screens, I would group them together around with browser router. And what I like to be able to do is says, well, if you see this in the URL, do this. Or if you see something in the URL, do that. So how do we do that? Well, we create routes. You say route, create a brand new route. Notice that my IDE has automatically imported it from the same library. So I'm going to create 2 routes, one for each page, right? And I'm going to put the hello, each one of these in there like that, right? And I'm going to put the to do in there like that. Okay, right? So what route is going to allow me to do is say, if you see in the path /hello, right? Then I want you to render hello. If instead you see in the path to do, then I want you to render to do. Okay, let's see. If I go back to here, notice that it's not showing one or the other. It's not showing the hello. Before we're showing both of them, right? Now it's not showing any of them. And the reason is that in the path, it doesn't see /to-do or /hello. So it says, well, it doesn't match any of those 2 paths. So I'm not going to render either one, right? I would have to explicitly say hello, right? And now notice that it renders hello world 234. Or if I say to do, then notice that it renders to do. So basically, it's implementing the mechanism of navigation, right? Of if I navigate to this URL, I see something. If I go to some other URL, I see something else, which is basically what navigation is, right? But notice that I can notice that I'm using here left and right, right? I can use the back buttons and the forward buttons, and they behave, right, like they would behave normally if you were navigating between HTML documents, right? So this is entirely compatible, right, with the default behavior of the back buttons or the forward buttons, right? That you can navigate the history, right, and it will load the content dynamically, right? That is mapped to that URL, to that path, which is pretty cool, right? Let's create another one, right? Say you had another component, right? Maybe you had a logging component, right? And you had import React, and you had const login, right? And you're gonna return here. You're gonna export default login, right? So we'll have probably a div, right? And maybe an h3 says login, right? And maybe you have a username, and you have an input field maybe, right? And a break, and maybe a password. This is of type password, and maybe a button that says login. Okay. So we can map this. We can map this and say, okay, well, in our navigation example, I'm going to create another route that if you see a login, I want to bring in the login component, right? So let's go back here. And now if I say login, right, notice that I am in the login component. See that? And or if I say to do, right, I can navigate now between the to do and the login and whatnot, right? But having to remember these URLs and physically typing them into the URL into above is not really what we were looking for. We'd love to be able to navigate, right, by clicking and having hyperlinks like normal navigation. So let's do that. All right. So for instance, let's go into the login, and maybe at the bottom we might want to add some hyperlinks, or maybe at the top. Maybe at the top we could put some navigation hyperlinks, right? And typically we would use H, or I'm sorry, A, right? The anchor, right? That would what we would normally do. But we're not going to do that, right? So normally you would say, okay, I want to go to hello, or I want to go to the to-do, right? Or I want to go to the login, and maybe put some something in between, right? So let's login, right? So there it is. So at the top you have these hyperlinks that are not doing anything right now, but we're not going to use the hyperlink because we want to be able to integrate with this new mechanism that, yes, I want to change the URL, okay, but I want to use this new mechanism, not the hyperlink, because the hyperlink, the default behavior of the hyperlink is to navigate away, right? Dump the current document, right, and replace it with some other document, right, with whatever the href says, right? If the href says some other HTML document, is going to replace the current document with that other document. That's not what we want, right? So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to use another component. It's the link component, which also is part of this new library I'm introducing, right? The React Router DOM, right? And so each one of these will be links. So links and link. Okay, notice that they do render as hyperlink underneath, right? They do render just like hyperlinks, but they're tied through JavaScript to using the new behavior, right? And so we need to link it to something, and we're going to link it to the paths. The paths, right? Hello, this would be hello, right? And this would be to-dos, and this would be login, right? So now, right, I can click on hello, and it navigates to hello. See that? I can navigate back. I can create to-do. Wait, was it to-do or to-dos? I forget. Oh, it is to-do. All right, so it's to-do like that. All right, so now if I click on to-do, I go to to-do, I can go back, hello, and navigate to hello, right? And log in, right? So I can copy this now and put it everywhere. I can put it in the to-do. I can put it at the top, maybe, like that. I can put it in the hello, like that. So now, right, I can go to hello, refresh. Hey, what happened to my hello? Return, blah, blah, blah. Why isn't it rendering? Did I put it in the wrong one? Oh, I put it in the wrong one. This is the wrong hello. Where's the other hello? It's this one, I think. There we go. Yeah. Oh, I need to wrap this, right? I need to wrap this. There we go. Yeah, so I can go to login, to do, hello, right? And now I can navigate between all of them. Well, notice that at no time are we dumping the HTML, right, and reloading anything, right? And actually, all these components are being cached in memory, right? And we're not reloading it, right? We're just swapping them real quick, right? And between them without any reloading, anything, right? It's in memory, right? Notice that as I mentioned earlier, right? Whenever I find myself copying and pasting, right? I pasted it, not this one. In the to-do, I put it at the top, right? I put it in the hello, I put it at the top. And in the logging, I put it at the top. Whenever I find myself copying and pasting, right? That's an immediate clue to tell us to create a component out of it, a reusable component, right? So I could create maybe a component for, call it navigation, right? Right, and again, it would be a component, so it would be import React const navigation, right? And this would return, oops, these guys, right? Copy that. I need to put it inside of a fragment and paste that in there. And then export default and navigation like that. And then I would load it here. I would say load the navigation. Navigation there. We do the same thing with the hello. There it is. And then the to do. There we go, right? And again, and this would behave just the same way, right? Not changed. There we go. See that? So anyway, that's what I wanted to introduce you today. React.js, it encourages you to break up large application into smaller pieces. And let's see, there's a question on the chat. It says, I think I missed the part you talked about the empty tag. What does it do? Oh, yeah. So this this empty tag, right? It basically says that sometimes it's not appropriate to use a div, right, or to use a specific element, and because it might break the syntax. So say you are creating a UL. The example that we gave you was that you have a parent UL and then you have multiple LIs underneath, and it would be inappropriate to put any other div in between the parent UL and the child LI, right? And if you wrap it inside any other element, you'll be adding something in between. So what this does is that it allows you to group together elements like we're doing here, right? But it doesn't add anything to the DOM, right? So it allows you to maintain the correct syntax when you have these parent-child relationships. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I had for you. We're only now just scraping the barrel, right, of the very tippy top of what the React.js is. We'll be talking quite a bit more in the next couple of lectures. Let's see. Thank you. Is this syntax? It's not React. It's JSX. It's JavaScript XML. Yep. But yeah, it's React uses quite a bit. Yeah, JSX not only is used in React.js, but it became popular in React.js. Yeah. Right. So next we'll talk about state management and event handling. Handling buttons, clicks, and things like that. Like for instance, what would I do to add a new to do, right, or remove a to do? How would I do that? Also, right now we've been creating React.js components using functions, right? You can also create React.js components using classes, right? So we'll take a look at using classes as well. And we'll do that in the upcoming lecture. When can we get access to assignment 6? Oh, is it not available? Oh, it's not available yet. Okay, I'll post it tonight. I can send you a link right now. What's this one? I added a table of content. I don't know if you cared about it, because these are fairly long. Yeah, let me share. I'll post it. I'll press it here in the chat, but I'll make a formal assignment and make it available later tonight. What does this React from import React do? What does this React from import React do? It is not called explicitly. Oh, you mean this right here, right? Yeah, no. So importing React, loads up the JSX, right? It loads up the fact that state management of that you can mix and match JavaScript with HTML. Also, it brings in the virtual DOM, right? The way React works is that this gets it loads up the underlying core functionality. Yes. One of the things that we'll talk about next lecture is that React makes the distinction between the actual DOM, right? The DOM is, is this, right? This is the physical DOM, in the elements, right? All these elements that get rendered, and a virtual DOM, right? And so React.js, what it does is that updating the DOM using jQuery, like we did up to this point in the last assignment, that's a very expensive and very slow process, right? Going out to talk to the browser and telling it to add or remove or manipulate the DOM, that's very, very expensive. And so what React does is that it keeps a virtual DOM in memory, right? And which is a much more compact and much more easier to manipulate DOM. And all the rendering that React does is to the virtual DOM. And only when the virtual DOM changes, then those changes are pumped to the modifications of the actual DOM, right? So instead of re-rendering things unnecessarily, right, React.js creates a much more optimized rendering by checking to see if there were any changes in the virtual DOM before making any writings or updates to the actual real DOM. All right, so yeah, if you have questions about the assignments and whatnot, I'll start office hours today, and we can answer general questions. If you want to maybe type them into the chat, and then I can address them individually, or if you want to put your name, I guess. I don't know which order we want to start, but let's see. Questions about A5. Let's see, do we have to make the home screen image posts responsive? The home screen, yes, please use the same exact layout that we used for the Explorer screen, so that the home screen is also responsive, identical to how the Explorer does. So you can reuse that layout where it shrinks, that has so many columns on the left hand side, on the right hand side, that the right hand side disappears when it's too small. Yes, please do that. Question about A4 responsive screen. Okay, sure. Youngxiang. Let me let's see if I can make this. I'm gonna stop sharing, and we can you can share your on that side. Let's see. Okay, Youngxiang, do you want to share your screen on A4?
Yes. Let me open the HTML. I mean, let me run the Explore website. Sorry, just 1 second.
There's a question, Piazza, as a lot of people ask on Piazza, is that possible to move further assignment due date to weekend? Move the, I guess so. Yeah, right now they're due on Thursdays, right? Yeah, I guess weekends could work. Maybe like Sundays or something like that. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, sure.
Professor, I'm ready to share the screen.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this is the website I created. Can you see the screen?
Wait a minute. Why can't... Oh, there it is. Yes.
Okay. So this is a website I created. I have the problem when I switch to a smaller screen size. Can you still see the screen?
I can see, yes.
Okay, so for example, when I switch to a small, oh, sorry, not here, small screen size, you can see the tabs here.
Yep.
Came into 2 lines. And so I was wondering if there's a way to fix it, because I know this may affect my A5 and later on assignments.
Are you zoomed in at all? Can you do Control plus?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. No, bring that back the way you had it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, can you do Control plus? Control plus? It's not doing anything.
Control plus, no.
The keystroke control and then plus. It doesn't do anything.
No.
That's weird. Control minus
Control minus,
on the browser. It doesn't do anything.
no.
That's weird.
Or,
Oh,
sorry,
there it
I
is.
should use, because I'm a Mac system, so I guess that's why the control doesn't work.
Oh, okay, there. Okay, you are in 100. Okay, you are 100%. What I don't understand, why do you have on the left-hand side so much space? That should not be like that. Yeah, in such a small screen, that left-hand side should be flush with the left-hand side. Can I see your how you did this?
The code?
Yeah. You
Sure.
might want to share your whole desktop, not only your browser.
Okay. Can you see the code here?
Yeah, okay. Can I see let's see, what page is this? This is Explore. Okay. Justify Content Center. All right, so can you replace that body black? Oh, I see what you did. Okay. Yeah. Okay, remove the Justify Content Center.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I did it because I saw on the extra large screen, everything's in the center.
Yeah,
And
okay,
because
so right, what we do is that let's wrap this whole thing in another div. So after line 10, put a new line. So open up a new div, and the class is container. Yeah, okay, make some space there. All right, so move that last div. Okay, so copy the last closing div right there, cut it,
mm-hmm.
and then go all the way down. And put it the last one. Okay, now refresh your screen.
Everything did move into the
Yeah, okay,
left.
so yeah, you have to make that center much bigger. Can you go back to your HTML?
Yeah.
So what do you have? Go up.
So for the tabs, I have it.
So you have, wait a minute, let's see. So you have yeah, can you close on line 13? Can you collapse that? Yeah, so you have small, you have 6. Oh, it's already
Yes.
6. Can you collapse that too?
Line 57.
Yeah, 57, yeah. And then the last one, extra large 3, 6, 6. Okay, all right, so instead of 6, that should be a 10. That's small, that should be a 10, because it has to add up to 12. See that, small 2 and 10, that adds up to 12.
Okay, so here should be 10.
So the 1 there, that should be 11 and 1.
Yes, and this is 7.
Yeah, I think you should leave that. That could be, no, wait. So 7,
Because this.
2, 5. Yeah, you're right. That's correct.
Okay, and this
And that should
should
be
be
6. Okay, that could be 7. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now try it. Now go back and re-render that.
Uh,
There we go. That looks much
okay.
better.
And I have another small question about the search bar. Like right now it looks fine, but for this icon here, I basically hard coded to fit into this search bar. Is there a way to actually combine the search sign with the search bar as a whole? I tried the add-ons. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can use the add-on and then style the left-hand side to look like if it were rounded. That's much harder. But yeah, I mean, you could do that. Style the add-on
Okay. Is
to
there
make
a
it look
better
like
way?
it's part of the input field.
Okay, because when I try to do add-ons, this search bar itself it will take the whole line, and on the right side, this icon will be squeezed into.
Well, it could be
Another-
two add-ons, right? You can, where you have you can style the left-hand side with the with the search, right? And the right-hand side, you could put the other one, right?
Okay, okay. So there's no better way around this.
Yeah, no, I mean, with React.js, you can combine the two and then style them, and they would be a separate component, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know how to do that yet. So for
Okay,
now, this is
got
the
it.
best we could do. Yep.
Okay, got it. Because I saw I may get points off for hard coding this.
Well, not hard coding it, but it's not quite right. You should move it a little bit to the right. It's flush
Yeah.
with the edges, and you know how much I hate things that are flush.
Okay. Okay, so I will keep reminding this. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Next.
Hello, hi, Professor.
Hi.
Yeah, could you please unlock the HTML and CSS quiz links for me?
Oh.
Yeah.
What course are you in?
Graduate.
Which one?
Graduate course.
No. Which quiz?
HTML and CSS.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And you are?
Yeah, I'm Madhura Vaidya.
Madhura what?
Vaidya, Vaidya.
V. Prashant?
Yes.
Okay. Did one of them?
Okay.
Okay. So who's next?
Hi, Professor.
Yes.
I asked for the A5, the challenge part. Everything works well, but after I push to the remote server, some features doesn't work. Can you just help me take a look at that?
Go ahead. Do you want to show me? You want to show me what's going on?
Let me share my screen. So here is my screen, my page for the local server. It
Okay.
wants to change the this link to home
Okay.
active and explore active. And
Okay.
then I push it to the explore server over there. And now it doesn't work. Just change the page, but the active doesn't change.
So my guess is that you haven't pushed the latest.
I pushed the latest one, latest version.
Uh, can you do a right click
Right
and
click.
explore? Do an explore, inspect. Okay, and so where would this be implemented? So this is explore, right? So can you show me what was it? Is A5?
Yes, A5.
Okay, can you click on sources on the right hand side? Sources.
Yes.
Yeah, and click on explore screen. Can you make that bigger? Okay, see, you're not passing on line 10. Line 10, you're not passing explore.
Because I don't know how to use the parameterized to
So
pass it
how is home working? Can you show me home?
home.
Go to the
Okay.
home. You might need to navigate to home.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to click on maybe home. Is that
Yes.
home? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, can you explore again? Can you inspect? And source, can you show me the home screen?
Home screen.
Oh, interesting. Can you go to this navigation sidebar?
Navigation sidebar.
No, the directory right there. Yeah, scroll up a little bit, up, right there. Click on index.
Here is my code for the changing the active status on the sidebar.
So how do you know oh, what are you doing? You're saying each function current page URL, each function this attribute href target URL, this parent li. Yeah, this is not how you should do it. What I did say is that you pass as an argument, and based on that argument, you highlight. And so how do you add class? All right, so click on 136.
136.
Or no, put a breakpoint on line 134.
134.
Yeah, click on the line on where it says 134.
Oh, 134. Sorry, over there.
Yeah, on the number 134. Click on it. Yeah, you could put a breakpoint. So what are you doing there? If blah 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 current page. Okay, so can you refresh this?
Refresh the page.
Yeah, Control R.
Control R.
Or the refresh button, whatever. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna step through this. Okay, so let's see. Hover over target URL on your code. Hover over target URL, the variable. Okay, so that's the URL. So okay, you're comparing that against what's current page URL. Hover over current page URL.
Yes.
Hover over current page URL. The variable next to it on the other side of the equal sign.
Yeah, over there. Okay.
Yeah, hover over it. No, hover over it so we can see the value.
What's the meaning of
Yeah, no, hover. Like put your mouse over it.
Over it. Okay.
Yeah, without clicking it. Otherwise, it won't work. Only hover. Yeah. Okay. Okay. See /home. So you're saying /home. See that at the end? You're comparing home.html with /home. So that will never be true.
Okay, that's the reason.
Yeah.
Should I edit code for this version, or should I just change to the way the home requirement?
I mean, if you want to do it this way, which is fine. I mean, it looks pretty cool. I like it actually that you did this dynamically like this, instead of having hard coded. I'm looking at it right now, and that's pretty fancy. Very good, actually, very good. But you might want to fix it. You know, I think you should fix it, but make sure that you compare the right things, right? Instead of doing this you can debug this locally on your machine, right? And make the changes right away and then step through it to see if it works.
But for what reason it works on the local server, but not works in the remote server?
I don't know. I would have to step through it just like we are here. See why it works there and not here.
Oh, okay. I will try to figure out that.
Yeah. Put the breakpoints. Breakpoints are your friends.
Okay. Thank you.
Debugging is your friend.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck.
Professor,
Yes,
can
go ahead.
can you share with me the access codes for those 2 quizzes?
Oh, really? I thought I removed. No, Q2 doesn't have access code.
Q1, HTML.
Q1 maybe. Oh, Q1 is EWQ.
Okay, thank you.
All right, awesome. All right, next.
Hey, Professor,
Yes.
can we use the styles from the challenge part in Segment 4? Because I'm keep back changing the styles. For example, the follow button, the color of the follow button and the borders. So.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you could use.
Because I kept the changing back and forth, so I don't know which one to use.
Yeah, you could absolutely reuse the styling that you had previously. Sure, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Professor.
Hi.
I had a question about the navigation sidebar. I had copied the code from the homework assignment, but when I load the page, nothing shows up.
You want to show me?
Yeah. So I just have this in my Explorer, and then in the navigation sidebar. So I would think that the Twitter symbol would show up and probably the button, but then when I open the page, it's just completely blank.
Okay, let's take a look at any errors. Go back to the browser. Let's do an inspect. See if we're getting any errors. Let's see. Okay, there are 2 errors. Look at the console. Click on the console. Okay, it says so you can't load something explore component.js, and it can't load the who to follow index.js. All right, let's see that. Where do you import them? Can you show me where you import them? Probably here.
Yeah, so I know the explore component.js. I haven't made that yet.
Yeah, so this will fail until that. Okay, so why don't you, right, let's comment those 2 out meanwhile.
Okay, I do have the who to follow. Oh, sorry. I don't have the JS here.
So no, it'll still fill the other one, right? Yeah, you can't find. Yeah, let's only work on the ones that you know work. So let's comment out who to follow list. Comment that out. So comment those 2 out. And so, yeah, you don't have to remove them. You just comment them out. But okay. So you'll also need to remove it from line 10 and line 12.
Oh, I see. Okay. I didn't realize I
Yeah,
had
don't
to
remove everything. You just remove the explore comment. Yeah, just remove that. Just line 10. Yep.
Up to here.
Yeah, okay, that works.
Okay, and then
Let's see, refresh. Explore component, explore screen. Okay, it doesn't like line 8 and 16. Go back to line 8 and 16. Yeah, I don't know if those doesn't like that syntax. I guess removed lines 10 through 13, I guess, for now. I don't know if it's they're not liking that syntax, that commenting that you're doing. I don't know.
okay. How
Maybe.
would I just comment? Like
Yeah,
how?
no, that won't work. Just remove it.
Okay.
All right, go back, refresh. There we go.
Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah. Okay. But the only thing is, I know we removed like the who to follow, but I do have that created. So I don't
Okay,
know.
then let's add who to follow. Then go ahead. To uncomment what you commented before.
Basically.
Okay, so just remove. Yeah, don't comment because I don't know if the comment is gonna work.
Yeah.
Just remove. Yeah, right. So just remove. No. Just remove explore comment. Yeah, only remove that. Yep. Okay. Try that. Go back to rendering. Let's see. Okay, it says that doesn't provide an export. Okay, let's go to who to follow to that file. Lists or the index.js, right? That's what you're importing.
Yes.
Yeah, see at the bottom you don't have an export.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you need an export. So do new line there. It says export default who to follow list. And then who to follow list. Yeah. Yeah, excellent. And then go back now, refresh the screen.
Oh, okay.
Why doesn't it render anything? Yeah, go back to the who to follow. What are you doing here? Who map? Okay, who map who return. Okay, wait, who to follow list item. What? Okay, do you know what who to follow list item does? Can you go in there? Did you implement that?
Yes,
Okay, let's see. Who blah 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 handle. Interesting. Do you have data in who?
Yeah.
You do. Interesting. Can you go back to go to the browser and right click? Okay, do sources. Okay, yeah, open that up. Go in there, go to who to follow. Yep, go to index.js and put a breakpoint on line 5. Okay, refresh. Okay, hover over who.
In this line?
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, you're using the same letter who twice. So I think it's getting confused.
Oh, so should I just like change
Maybe
this
just
to
W
different?
or something.
Okay. Oh, I think.
All right, so index. So change that to W maybe. And W. No. Yeah, exactly. So only the inner variable. Yep. There.
So just this one.
Well, no, also the parameter on line 8. Yeah, excellent, like that.
Okay.
All right, can you try it again? Refresh. All right, hover over who. No, just put your mouse over the word who. Okay, you have the array. Perfect. Put a breakpoint on line 9.
Should I remove this breakpoint?
Yeah, sure. And now do continue. The play button. Yeah, do that. Okay, hover over W. Okay, so the objects are working. All right, do continue. Again. I guess you can remove the breakpoint. Just continue. That's still not working. Who to follow list item W? Go to who to follow list item.
Like the page.
Yeah, open there and navigate down to list item. Double click. Return who. Put a breakpoint on line 2. Okay, refresh. Okay, hover over who? Yeah, it is coming, right? and put a break. Okay, hover over avatar icon. Okay, username. Okay, and handle. Interesting. Why is it not rendering? All right, take out the breakpoint and continue. Can I take over?
Yeah. I think it should work. Do you want me to go back to the?
Yeah, go back to the browser.
Is it possible it's not rendering because the screen is too small?
Are you kidding me? It is.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Good catch, whoever that was.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next.
Professor?
Yes.
I have a question that's my IntelliJ used to, I can do the reformat on my HTML code, but suddenly after one day, it do not do the reformat for me either. I tried lots of ways and I cannot figure out why.
Can you show me what you're talking about?
Sure.
Meng, do you have a quick question?
Maybe I will wait for a next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so what's going on?
So for example, my I don't know whether this question is appropriate to ask it. My IntelliJ used to, if I select this and I had to do the code and the reformat code, it will help me do all the indentation stuff to make it. So I can see that whether I have an extra div or extra something there. But now it doesn't do anything. And I try to figure out and I cannot.
So are you saying did it work on JavaScript?
I think it used to work on both JavaScript and the HTML when I do the first 2 assignments.
Does it work? Let me just check.
I don't.
No, mine doesn't either. I don't think it does on JavaScript. Yeah, no, I don't know. Does anybody else, does it work on JavaScript for you? Mine doesn't seem to do it.
It doesn't work on mine either.
On HTML, it does because it knows it's HTML, but in JavaScript for it, it's just a string.
Oh, I'm not sure about JavaScript. Anyway, the HTML is not doing the reformat for me now.
Well, in HTML probably should. So if you go to HTML, it should be reformatting it.
But this is like HTML, right?
No, it isn't. It's a string, right? As far as Java is concerned, it's just a string.
Oh, okay. So as far as it is inside a JavaScript file.
Yeah, when you go to React, then yes, it will treat it as if it were HTML.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't have questions now.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Professor.
Who was it? Yunmeng?
Oh, hi, Professor.
Yes.
I have a question that I'm working for the assignment file. Maybe I will share my screen.
Sure, go ahead.
And I just do the first part for the navigation sidebar, and I put this one and the function here. But the console here says that there is a bug here for the navigation sidebar.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Can I take control?
Yeah.
Let's see. Why does it not like that?
Okay. She just need to remove the line 14 and 16.
I'm sorry. What was that comment?
I think she just need to remove the line 14 and 16 since they she had an
so you're
implement that function.
you're not importing these?
Yeah,
she
because
used
I'm
it.
working for the first part, so I
Yeah,
just.
can you comment this out for now?
Oh yeah, sure.
Where is that? Is that here?
Yeah. Maybe I can do that.
How do you refresh?
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Okay, thank you so
All right,
much.
good catch.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Professor.
Sure.
I have one question for assignment 5, build part. Can I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so Professor, I want this component here in right side. I don't know why it's rendering below the Twitter part. I mean the navigation part. So
I'm sorry, why it's what navigating? Blue, you mean?
It's rendering below here. I want this component here, right?
Oh, you mean below?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it's rendering below. Okay. Yeah, can I see the Explorer screen?
Sure. I used
Okay.
container too, but it's not working.
Yeah, okay, container. Let's see. Can I take control?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's see. I can't. Can you take me to the? Okay, is this it? Ah. Okay. Okay. And so we are in extra large, right? Over here. So this is the row. So this is a row. This is the div. So this is this right here, right? Navigation. Yeah, try to maintain tabbing because it's very hard to read if it's not tabbed. Okay, and then okay, so presumably we are here, right?
Yes.
2 and 4. That should be plenty, right? And then we have 2 and 4, 1 and something. So let's see. So this is this. So this is that row, and then we have this container. Would it follow list? D non D large block. Oh, this is so that it appears and disappears. I see.
Hi, Professor.
Yes.
I'm here now. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Because I thought it was nothing.
Are you okay? Container row.
I'm okay.
2, 4. 2, 4. That looks right. Column 4. 2, 4, 2, 4. So you're basically using 2, 4 for everything, right? Okay, except small, right? I can't see the cursor. Where's the cursor? Oh, here we go. So you have this large here. Goes with 1, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. That should be enough. Interesting. Append, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't trust these comments.
Okay.
Wait, what is this? Where's what?
Explore. I mean, after
Can I close
Piazza?
this?
No, after, yes, you have to close this. Yes, here.
Explore HTML. Are we looking at the correct Explore?
Yeah, explore.html, it's here.
So it's this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dove Explore. Are we looking at the right thing?
Is it because like she has a container for the whole thing rather than like has container for the left part and right part?
What was the comment?
I mean, like as for her code, for the line 6, I noticed that she used the container for the whole part. I mean, is it like is this supposed to be like use container for just like left part and right part rather than like the whole part? I mean, maybe delete the 6 line, the line 6. Okay.
Well, I don't think she's using container anywhere else. I think this is the only place that she's using container, right?
Yeah.
Oh, container.
Yeah, but without container, it's also not working. If I remove it, it will not work.
Okay, but you can't have a container within a container. So
okay.
Okay, container row. All right, let me just copy this. I'll just put it aside for a second. So row, container, column 2. And column 10. Wait a minute, then what are you doing in who to follow list? Who to follow list? You are returning who, and what's this? You're returning UL class row. This is a list, UL, that looks right. Explore screen. Okay, something's really broken here. You broke the grid. So 2, 6, so that's 4. Okay, what about navigation?
Navigation.
Okay, something's
So-
wrong with navigation then.
So, Professor, why it was not working previously? Like navigation.
Well, navigation must be forcing something. Diff list group. List group button div continue. What's this? Okay, so we have this div list group al. You have this div. Oh, you have another div in there. You're missing a div here.
Okay.
So if you have a okay, now it is. See that?
Okay. So Professor, can you please control Z my previous code? Yeah, this I want to ask one more question in who to follow. Yeah, yes. And I should not change. Okay, okay, I got it. My list, $, maybe. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So, Professor, one more thing. I want to put who to follow once, like inside my map, it's continuously iterating. So in who to, no, I think it's who to item.js. Item, who to follow. Item.
Right. So what you want to do is
yeah, who to follow. It's
the
LN.
list should be only once, right? So this list should not be in here. The list should be out here, right?
Hmm.
So now, so this should not be in here, right? And also,
who to follow? We haven't.
so this li should be not
Removed.
here.
Hmm.
Should be right here, right?
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yep.
I got it now. Everything
Yep.
I will fix by my own. Thank you so much,
Sure.
Professor.
All right. Good luck.
Thanks.
Sure.
Hi, Professor.
Yes. Hi.
I just have a quick question. I noticed that the TA aren't enough for this course, so I'm wondering, like, can I apply for the TA for this course since I answer like plenty of questions on the Piazza and also from the friends. I answered their questions. So I'm wondering, can I apply for the TA?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? I can barely hear you.
Sorry. I mean, I noticed that the TA for this course aren't enough, and I'm wondering, can I apply for the TA for this course?
Sure. Yeah, reach out to me and maybe tomorrow morning, and we can chat some more.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Hello, Professor. I got a quick question on the challenge
Sure.
part of 85. Maybe I can share my screen so I
Go
can.
ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sharing. Okay.
Yep.
Can you see that now?
Yeah, I can see.
I mean IntelliJ.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay,
IntelliJ.
great. So, is that a better way to make sure the link is blue? I'm hard coding it. I know it's not encouraged, so I wonder if there is a better way.
I'm not sure what you mean.
So I'm using a class to make it blue, and I also wrote a link for the inspiration 4x.
Okay.
Should I like do something different, like to detect if there is an @ so I make it to a link?
I'm not sure what you're trying to achieve though.
Just to make the plain text to be a link. Is there a better way than what I'm doing now?
You mean, but you don't want it to be a link? Or you want it to be a link?
I want it to be a link, but I want to use a different way. there is a
Well, the
better
thing
one.
is that the thing is that in this content, the content itself contains a link. So and what you're doing there, body and the actual text in there, that is the right way. Now the problem is that when you add it, not using jQuery but using React.js or Angular, you will get an error because usually that content would be sanitized and it would remove any hyperlinks or links to JavaScript or CSS or anything like that. But right now, since we have full control of the DOM using jQuery, you should not get that error. Are you getting that error or?
No, it will render the web page clearly and correctly, but I mean, IntelliJ is not detecting it as a plain text. It highlighted the code, so I think
that's perfectly fine. The only concern perhaps would be that you have quotes instead of quotes.
Oh yeah.
But you took care of that already, right? You're using single quotes outside. So that should be fine. So yeah, this is the correct way of doing it. When we get to React, you would have to do some additional things to it, but the body, if somebody types that an actual post, this is the way it would be stored in the database anyway.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hey, Professor, I have a question about like hiding text on my assignment. I can share my screen so that you can see what's going on.
Sure.
But basically, like, I was having an issue with can you see my screen all right? Like,
yeah, I
you
can
see the explore. Okay, so basically it's in like this section where I like each of the post summary items, I guess, has like a field, and some of them have like empty strings inside. And I'm trying to figure out a way to like hide it so I don't get this like awkward like text or empty space here. So I'm wondering how can I like accomplish this? I was trying to use like jQuery to accomplish that as well, but I guess it didn't work out. So I can like show you where in my code I was hoping to accomplish this. Can you see my code?
I can, yes.
Okay, so here's the section where I do like the post summary items. And I was trying to figure out here like where I can actually like I want to check like the post topic to see if it's like an empty string, but I'm not sure how to like get around like because it's in the span here.
So what we're gonna learn in React.js, what you do is post that topic. What you'll do is if it's not null, you will render the whole thing, including the span, the BR. If it's not null, then you would render the whole thing, right? So you kind of short circuit, like in an outer if statement, and say, okay, well, if it is null, then I'm not going to render any of it, the span, the BR, none of it. But if it is not null, then I will render both. Here you're just using the inner text instead of the span, so you're going to get the BR, right? Even the BR, even if it's null, you're going to get the break at the bottom. So what I would do is that /BR, I would put it inside of an expression, like a ternary expression, that if it's only render the BR if the post.topics is not null.
Oh, so like in maybe like something like this.
$, and so it says, post.topic, question mark. Yeah, and then
I guess
in quotes the BR, and then close the BR. Afterwards, you close the BR on the right hand side, not on the left.
Oh.
And then or colon after the question mark, after the quotation. No, after the quotes, colon, empty string. And now you can remove the BR. Now the BR will only render if topic is not null.
Okay, but the thing is like topic isn't like necessarily null, or like I think the way they had it in here was that it can still be like a empty.
Yeah, so empty string, false, empty object, 0, all those are falsy.
Oh, okay. And then, oh, I did not know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So all those will are casted to false.
Oh, okay. I feel kind of dumb now, but thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Hi, Professor. I have a question
Sure.
about our A5. Would you mind me share my screen?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. This is to-do list part. I have no idea why that I couldn't run anything. It shows nothing.
All right, so do a right click and inspect. Let's take a look at the inspect. Okay, so you get 3 errors. So let's look at the console. All right, it says there's a $sign is not defined in index.js. Let's take a look at that. Is that your index? Is this it?
Yeah.
Okay. Who loads this index? Can I see? Okay. And where's jQuery here? Did you load jQuery?
I think the template helped me load the jQuery.
Yeah. So right. No, but then you need to load that before you load index.js. Otherwise, it's not going to find it. All right. So move those 3 things. Put them in the header.
You mean ahead of this part?
In the after line 12. After line 12. Go to line 12. Line 12.
Line 12.
Yeah. Enter and paste. Okay. Now try it. Refresh. Okay, access from origin has been to do index. Okay. Okay, you need to run this inside of IntelliJ. Okay, you go to IntelliJ. Oh, yeah, I don't know how to do it with code.
Run this with IntelliJ.
Okay, yeah. Can you open that project with IntelliJ? Is this Ultimate? IntelliJ Ultimate?
No.
Maybe it'll work. I don't know.
Okay.
No. Yeah. You don't want to create a project. You want to no. You want to open it. No. Close this. Cancel this. Where's your project that you have in code?
Actually, my project is use VS Code to do my project. And
yeah, I know, but where's it stored? Where is it physically?
In this part.
Yeah, where's all this? Where's your file system?
File system.
Yeah, if I right click on index, where is all this stored?
Oh, it's storing here in the to-do folder, to-dos folder.
Right, but in your file system, where is this located? In your home directory? Where is it?
In my home directory.
Yeah. Okay, right click on index.html. Right click on it. Okay, there it is. Hover over it. Hover. Just put your mouse over the file. On the left side on the file. Hover.
Hover.
Yeah, put your mouse right on index.html. Can I take control?
Sure.
Okay, so on the desktop, A5 practice. Okay. On desktop, A5.
Yeah.
Practice to do. So this is not a project. What happened to the project?
This is not the project.
Yeah, this is not a React project.
Which project? I'm sorry.
Yeah, did you do assignment 1?
Yeah, I did the assignment 1.
Yeah, so in assignment 1, you're supposed to do all these exercises inside the project that you created in assignment 1.
Actually, it's TA helps me to do the assignment 1, and I joined this class after assignment 2, so it might be.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we're gonna have to help you set this up because yeah, you're creating all these files in separate folders, and they're all supposed to be under that first assignment, the project that you created in the first assignment. Yeah, you can't have them disjoint in different places. They have to be always under that one project. Yes, assignment 1 asks you to create a React project, and then under there, under the public directory, you need to create all these files, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and under that one React project. Otherwise, none of this is going to work.
Is that webdev?
Yeah, so why don't make an appointment maybe tomorrow, you and I, and maybe a TA, and we can catch you up on this.
Sure.
Are you free, you know, early afternoons tomorrow?
Sure.
Yeah, you know, reach me out. Here's my phone, and text me, and then we can follow up. Okay.
So could you send me your phone number?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Can you stop sharing?
Okay.
Stop sharing. All right, here's my phone. Just text me, and we can set up a meeting, and we can. Oh wait, I meant to do it for everyone. How do I? Everyone. All right, ping me there, and we can help you catch up. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So are you free on tomorrow morning?
I'm sorry.
I'm free on tomorrow morning.
Mornings are very tough for me.
Maybe afternoon.
Early afternoon, yes.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Professor, I have
All right,
a couple
anyone
of
else?
questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Can I share my screen?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, let me get rid of that.
Okay.
Okay, so this is my code. Let's see if I can get my code and what it shows up at the same time. Okay. So I'm having trouble getting the underline for the current page.
Okay.
And I just can't make it work, and I'm not sure why.
All right. So let's see. Can I see the HTML for that?
Yeah. So the HTML is here.
Okay. So right. So what I did to achieve that, right, is that instead of just a hyperlink, because you have LI hyperlink, LI hyperlink, right?
Yeah.
So what I did is that I had an outer div, right, that allowed me to do the spacing between the tabs, and then an inner div that allowed me to style only the bottom half, right? So let's see. So for instance, let's do for you. Is this for you? Okay. Can I take control?
Yeah, sure. Approve.
Wait, why is this? Okay. Let me move you to a bigger screen here. There we go. Okay, you have for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
See if that still renders.
Do you need to save it first?
I believe I did.
Okay.
Let's inspect. Okay, it's a div, right?
Yeah.
So now I can style the div independently from the hyperlink. Right. So the div I can say, for instance, I can say border bottom. And maybe 2 pixels, red, solid. Right.
That is so cool.
Right. And then I can change the size. I can say, padding bottom, 3 pixels, so I can move it down a bit. See that?
Yeah.
So basically that's it. More or less.
Okay. Can I ask another question?
Sure, of course.
All right. I wrote them all in my CSS, so bear with me. Okay, so when the screen is bigger than medium and we get these icons.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble centering the icon in its box.
Okay.
So if you inspect it, so that's the image, but that's its box.
Let me take a look at, so you have, I see, and you have the image. Does it have a width? It does have a width, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, let's try something really simple and see. Okay, so that didn't work. You have this image, padding 0, height auto. How about margin auto? There we go.
Okay, so margin auto on the image.
Yeah, see what margin auto does is that it adds margins on either side. See that? So equally on the left and the right.
Okay. Awesome. And then a more general question is when we borrow code from somewhere else, like I got this class that I use these settings from Stack Overflow, how do we cite that?
That's totally fine. Just like that.
Just like that?
Yeah, and just say I got it from this, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
All right, and then just a couple of quick general questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
To increase the clickable area on like buttons and stuff, does increasing the padding and margin do that?
Not margin, but padding, yes.
Not margin.
Yeah, margin increases the space between the elements. So the empty space that it's not clickable.
Okay. And then for the border radius property, is it the radius from the center of the block?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. For the homework, just in general, we have the challenge part, the build, and the practice. Are they each weighted equally? Or are they weighted differently? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, they're not. It's it depends on how many things we ask you to do. So we might ask you more things to do in the practice than we might ask you on the challenge. So almost every sentence has a pointage. So when we ask you, do this, that, and the other, each thing that we ask you to do has a point. So it might be that it's more the practice, and sometimes the challenge is more. So yeah, no.
Okay. And then when we export something, this is from today. When we export something, why do we use the word default?
So you can export many things. You can have lots of functions, and each thing that you export, you have to explicitly say export whatever without the default, right? Yeah. And when you export 3, 4, 5 different things, they get exported like a map, like a whole object, and then you have to use the destructor to extract each one of them, right? But there might be something in there that you want to export that is the most common thing that you would use in that package, such as the React, right, or React DOM. So you can define one particular export, only one of them. You can declare them as default, so that when you import it, you don't need to use a destructor. It's the only default thing that's being imported that you don't need the destructor. Everything else cannot use the default. Only one of them can use default. So all the other ones would have to be destructed to retrieve them. Does that make any sense?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
It definitely did.
Right.
Last question is about assignment 5, I think we're on.
Yep.
If we are changing due dates to the weekend, does that apply to assignment 5, or is assignment 5 still for Thursday?
Yeah, no, let's move all of them to the weekend. Yeah,
Okay.
I think I meant to do that at some point. I don't know why I left this Thursday. I'm sorry.
Okay, so if we turn in assignment 5 on Sunday, that's okay.
Yeah, let me make the post right away before I forget.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
That makes things a lot easier for me.
5, 6, all of them. Sign, can't spell. Post, and let's pin it. Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you so much. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Bye. All right. Next. Manushi, you had a question?
Hi, Professor. Professor, I have a general question regarding an access to Zoom recordings. So can you guide from where I can access those recordings? I couldn't find it in Canvas, any link.
Yeah, so I a while back I made a link on 5610. Is it there? I hope so. Lectures on YouTube. Are these not it?
Yeah, so lectures on YouTube is there. I mean to say the Zoom recordings.
Yeah, they're not being recorded in Zoom. I don't know why. I need to explicitly export them here.
Yeah, but Professor, like in Piazza, some undergrads used to, they share the links of the recordings of Zoom.
Yeah, but they shouldn't share them. I mean, they're available here. I don't know why they're being shared. The link is right there. It's been there from the beginning, no? Yeah, this link has been there from the beginning.
Professor, can I share my screen?
Sure.
So like, so for me, I can just see under Zoom meetings.
No, I understand that they're not there. No,
Okay.
I understand that. That's why I've been putting them in the YouTube video.
Okay.
Yeah, can you click that just to make sure you have access?
This one?
Yeah.
That I have access. I have already.
Yeah, everything here is, I believe it's up to date.
Yes, only today's lecture. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta post today's lecture. I'll do that right after this class.
Oh, thank you.
Sure. Anyone else?
Hi, Professor.
Hi, what's up?
And I also have a question for the last assignment. Because my maybe I can share my screen.
Go ahead.
For the picture here and for the rest of this, I think it is not full. Not fill all the.
Oh wow, what happened there?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Let's take a look. Can I take control?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Where do you have the tabs? Let's see. Explore HTML. What assignment is this?
This
4?
is the assignment 4.
Okay. List group row.
I just realized the problem when I created the assignment 5. I didn't realize this question last week.
Okay. So what do you mean? Are you all set? Yeah. I don't think you want this. Where's your refresh screen?
Maybe I move this a little bit.
There we go.
Oh,
Yeah, you had an extra row here.
okay. Thank you so
Yep.
much.
All right. Good luck. Anyone else?
Hi, I have a question about React.
Okay, sure.
So in a previous assignment, we learned that to jump to different sections or elements of a page, we use the anchor tag. So how do we do that with React?
You mean like a table of content, like where you have an anchor and you jump to a different section down below?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yes.
So yeah, today we talked about the browser router, right? There is also the hash router that allows you to use hashes instead. And that allows you to do that kind of navigation within the same page.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's several types of routers depending on what you want to do. And the one we looked at today was flipping components, displaying them at different times. But yeah, I mean, there's also that too, that you can, like a table of content, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Yunmeng, Jocelyn?
Yeah, I'm all for today. Thank you so much. Have
All
a
right.
nice-
Awesome. Good luck. Good night.
Hi, Professor. I just
Hi.
had a more generic question. I'm asking about, sorry. For exam 1, I have a time conflict, so I won't be able to take it during the scheduled time.
Sure.
I sent you an email, but I don't know if you've read it yet. So is it possible to take the exam before class?
Yeah, not before, afterwards.
Okay. Is there, do you want me to email you?
Ideally as early as possible. Could you take it, say, Friday at 1:30?
Friday at 1:30? Yes.
Are you in school?
What do you mean? In person? No.
No, okay, that's fine. So 1:35, I have a class at 1:35.
Okay, that works.
And actually, I have an exam for another class at 1:35 on Friday.
Okay, I could be there.
Yeah, okay, let's do that.
Okay, so
remind me and I can send you an invite so that you'll be part of that class.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have my my phone? Maybe you can text me and remind me the night before.
Yes, I do.
And then you can remind me again that same day. It says, hey, hello, I need a link, and I can send it to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye.
All right. Cool.